Two HVAC technicians show up to the exact same service call. Same truck, same tools, same equipment. One figures out the problem in 10 minutes. The other spends 3 hours chasing his tail. So what's the difference? Most people think great technicians are just born smarter, but that's not what I've seen. Because every great technician started in the exact same place. Completely green. You don't know how to use half the tools in your bag. You still can't pronounce Knipex right. Your trainer sends you to grab a left-handed screwdriver, then tells you to go check the truck for the flux capacitor. And you actually go looking for it. You discharge your first capacitor with a screwdriver because someone told you,
"That's how the pros do it."
Except you forgot to turn off the power first, and you almost throw the screwdriver across the customer's yard when it sparks. Honestly, the first few months you're not a technician. You're a tool mule with a flashlight. You carry tools, change filters, wash condensers, and run maintenance calls. Over and over and over again. It gets boring. You're checking capacitors, checking filters, checking drains, checking temperature splits, doing the same things every single day. And if someone asked you why you were doing it, half the time you couldn't tell them. You're just following the checklist because that's what's on the clipboard. That's where a lot of guys get stuck. They do the task, but they never learn the reason behind it. Then one day, you're finally sent on your first service call alone. No trainer in the truck. No one to bail you out. Just you, the system, and whatever's wrong with it. The condenser isn't running. And suddenly, all those maintenance checks start connecting. The capacitor test makes sense. The sequence of operation makes sense. For the first time, you're not just following steps. You're understanding the system. It's kind of like Karate Kid. Wax on, wax off. Paint the fence. At the time, it feels pointless. Then you're standing in front of a unit by yourself, and every boring, repetitive maintenance call you ever ran suddenly makes sense because you're not copying steps off a checklist anymore. You're applying everything that checklist quietly taught you. Now you're a solid technician. You can diagnose most common problems. You understand the basics. You know your sequence of operation. You know airflow, you know electrical, you know refrigeration. Congratulations, you're a good tech. Most people never get past this level. But here's the problem. Being a good tech isn't what separates you anymore. Every shop has a handful of guys who can change a capacitor, pull a vacuum, and read a superheat chart. The question is, what separates the good ones from the great ones? The first difference is, great technicians slow down. When a good tech sees a symptom, he starts testing. When a great tech sees a symptom, he starts thinking first. He observes, then tests, then solves. A good tech sees a tripped breaker and starts throwing parts at it. A great tech sees a tripped breaker and asks why it tripped in the first place. The second difference is curiosity. Good techs find an answer. Great techs ask why. Why did that capacitor fail? Why is that compressor overheating? They keep digging until they find the root cause, instead of replacing the part and rolling the dice on whether it happens again. The third difference is they actually look forward to the hard calls. A good tech does fine on the easy stuff, routine maintenance, a straightforward capacitor swap, a filter change. But hand him something weird, some intermittent fault that's already stumped 2 other guys, and he starts dreading the day. A great tech still does the boring calls, right? He's not cutting corners on a maintenance check just because it's not exciting. But when dispatch calls and says nobody else could figure this one out, that's the call he actually wants. He's excited because he knows he's about to learn something he didn't know yesterday. That's the kind of call he's going to be thinking about on the drive home. The fourth difference is humility. The best technicians I've ever met aren't afraid to say, "I don't know." A good tech starts guessing when he's stuck. A great tech starts reading the wiring diagram, the installation manual, the service literature, because somewhere in that paperwork is usually the answer he's looking for. And if that doesn't answer it, then they call another tech. They post the picture in the group chat and ask what everyone else thinks it is. The day you think you've seen it all is the day you stop getting better. I've watched a 20-year tech get humbled by a communicating system he'd never touched before, and instead of guessing, he just said it. "I don't know this one yet. That's not weakness." That's how you actually become great. The fifth difference is consistency. Most technicians know what they should do. Great technicians actually do it. Every call, every day, year after year. They check the static pressure even when they're running behind. They verify the charge even when the system seems fine. They write the notes even when nobody's checking. And the last difference is how they treat their tools. It's a smaller one, but it adds up. Great techs respect their tools. They keep their bags organized, so they're not digging through 3 drawers looking for a screwdriver while the homeowner's standing right there watching. They know where everything is. They verify their meters actually reading right before they trust the number on the screen. They take care of the equipment that helps them make a living, not because it's expensive, but because it's theirs, and it's part of doing the job right. So how do you know which side of that line you're actually on? It's probably not about how many calls you've run, or how many years you've got in the field. It's smaller than that. Maybe you catch yourself reading the wiring diagram more closely than you used to. Maybe you pull out the manual on a system you've worked on 100 times, just to double check something that's been bugging you. Maybe you're spending your own time off the clock, watching training videos, signing up for classes, showing up to a manufacturer's training day on your day off. And maybe this is the big one. You lie awake some nights bothered by a call you couldn't crack. Not because you got embarrassed in front of the homeowner, but because it's actually eating at you that you don't know why. That restlessness is a good sign. It means you care about this trade, not just the paycheck. Here's the flip side though. The moment you think you've got it all figured out, that's not a sign you've made it. That might be the moment you should think about a different career. Because the technicians who stay great stay humble. They keep asking questions. And they'll ask them to a guy with half the experience they've got, if that guy happens to know something they don't. The good tech eventually realizes great techs think differently. But the truth is even simpler than that. Great techs never stopped being students. That's why when you look at the top of the staircase, there aren't many people standing there. Not because they were born smarter, not because they got lucky, but because they kept learning long after everyone else stopped. And that is what separates good HVAC techs from the great ones.